So this is the Ask the Natural Lifter show, and today we have Austin as a guest. So make sure and send your guys' questions in for Austin. We have a few already. But first, before we get started, let's just go into your story. Like, what's your story? What got you into fitness? What's your life story?
Okay. Pretty much ever since I was a little kid, still walk around with a football in my hand. I think my dad and my brothers were a huge part and playing a role in that. Grew up super competitive. My brother's 2.5 years older than me, so he, I used to strive to be as good as him in everything that I did. So I think that really benefited me a lot and made me a better person overall, but also a better athlete. Mm-hmm. So, I would go against him, and then I'd go against kids my age, and it would be a lot easier because I was used to going against him and my cousin who were 2.5 years older. Fast forward, 15 years, still playing football, baseball, basketball in high school, and dealt with some injuries, as we all have. So, let's see, my senior year of high school, I dealt with stinger, neck into the shoulder region. Okay. And I just kind of had to reassess where I was with my life and what I was going to do as far as from an athletic standpoint.
Gotcha.
At that point, I actually didn't really even like the gym at all. I used to love to be on the field. I wanted to play. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play baseball. I was like, I didn't really understand how the tangible results in the gym would translate to the field. And, you don't really at that young age anyway. So fast forward baseball season, it's like first league game, I broke my jaw playing baseball. So I was playing center field. Pop-up was hit about shallow right field. And nobody called for the ball, so the right fielder and I both dove.
Oh, and you guys hit each other?
The bottom of my jaw hit the top of his head. Knocked him unconscious and broke my jaw in 2 places here. Wow. So at that point, I had a scholarship to go to play Division III at Whittier to play football. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was saying I kind of had to reassess my options and what I was going to do. So over that summer, I decided, I'm going to work out, get stronger, try to rehabilitate my neck and shoulder, put some weight back on because I had lost 15 pounds when I broke my jaw, and see kind of what my new path looked like. So instead of going to Whittier to play football, I decided to go to junior college and go that route, see if I could play again and go, get a scholarship to maybe a D1, D2 school.
Gotcha.
Started working out that summer. I worked at a car dealership with my sister as a receptionist from 9 to 5. And then from like 6 to 9 p.m., I'd be in the gym with my brother and my cousin. We'd be playing basketball, lifting, sauna, we'd be there all night long. So it was one of the best summers of my life. And that's when I really developed a passion for the gym and really built that relationship and that bond with them too. And I was fortunate to learn from them who had already been training for a few years the proper way to do things, which I think a lot of beginners kind of miss out on having that opportunity. So fell in love with the gym. When I moved to junior college, I kept lifting. I kept trying to get stronger, kept trying to get bigger. And it became a passion. I loved the gym as opposed to sports. It kind of filled that void in my life. Ever since then, I've trained with people who, have 10, 20 years of bodybuilding experience. I trained with one of my good buddies back home, and his dad was a competitive athlete. He trained bodybuilding, but specifically for legs. Gotcha. So I've trained with a lot of people who have dedicated their lives to it and who have really honed in on the craft. About a year and a half ago, I decided, I had a lot of friends hit me up. Hey, do you want to, can you train me? I'll pay you, this type of thing. So I was like, yeah, I'd love to help you out. I have 7-8 years of experience at this point. Yeah. I know what I'm doing and I'd love to be able to share that knowledge with you. So, I started training, friends here and there, and, slowly but surely that developed into a passion. I enjoyed training people. I enjoyed teaching them and sharing my wealth of knowledge. And, so here we are today. So where we're both training at one of the nicest facilities in San Diego.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that was kind of happened to me too. I got into shape. I was really fit, just my own personal journey, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, all my friends started saying, wow, how'd you do that? And I just started giving out free advice all the time. And I realized, wait a second, I'm spending all my free time giving out advice for free. And I realized, well, I could probably get paid to do this.
Absolutely.
Because I never thought about personal training as a career before. Right. It was just like, okay, whatever, it's the gym, fitness, But when I got passionate and learned a lot, and then actually people were asking me for advice, I was like, well, this is maybe something I can do. And then I don't have to work, at a desk all day.
Absolutely.
Actually be active, be in the gym all the time, and stay fit, stay active, stay healthy on my feet all the time.
Definitely. I love it.
So I was like, yeah. And then I could tell people,
I think it's so cool how everybody has a different story, but it all kind of ends up at that same path where you want to share the wealth of knowledge with others and be able to help them kind of experience the same gains that you've experienced in your life through the healthy lifestyle habits you've made.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have the baby in the background monitoring the cameras for us. So, but yeah, no, yesterday with Kenzie, same things. Like a lot of people I talk to, a lot of personal trainers, we kind of fall into it by accident.
Yeah.
We didn't go into it saying, oh, when I graduate high school, I'm going to be a personal trainer.
Right.
It's like, I don't think many people choose it as a career goal, like,
absolutely,
long term, but then we just have a passion for it. And we're like, well, we might as well get paid to do what we like to do already.
Totally.
And sharing in the knowledge of other people is something that so a funny story, I was homeschooled.
Okay.
And so my sisters are 5 and 6 years younger than me.
Sweet.
But I was a very studious academic kid. So I taught myself all the way through high school. Like my parents just said, here, get these pieces of homework done. And I just did them,
right.
And then my sisters struggled with the homework.
Yeah.
They're both adopted. So different genes and everything. They had a different, mindset. And so my mom would get frustrated with them. So she'd say, David, just teach them, like get them, like, especially because math, I just happened to be good at math.
Right.
And so she was like, teach them math. I learned how to teach from the young age because I was like, well, my mom's telling me to teach them, so I can't say no.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had to learn like how to teach somebody and take them through the process and not get upset they're not where I'm at.
Right.
That's really transferred.
Did you find that to be a struggle, considering you excelled at math and it came easy to you? Was it more difficult for you to teach them, considering they didn't have that
a little bit
same success?
At the beginning? It was kind of frustrating. I'm like, don't you get 1 + 1 = 2? Like, how does that? You have one apple, another apple, and that equals 2 apples.
Right.
Not that extreme, but get the idea of
absolutely.
Like
makes you a better teacher though.
Yeah, and I had to learn slowly. It's like, okay, how can I get them to figure it out on their own instead of I learn very fast. If you just feed them the answers, you're gonna have to help them again the next day.
Right.
And I was kind of selfish. I'm like, I don't want to help you every day. I want to get you to the point where you can do it on your own. And then I'm not trying to like every day reteach you the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely.
The whole fish analogy.
That's kind of I was thinking the same
thing.
It's kind of the whole end goal with clients as well. We want to be able to get them to the point to where they're confident and knowledgeable enough to go in to the gym without us.
Yeah.
And be able to perform the same exercises with that same level of confidence and that same level of motivation. And that's kind of I think what every trainer's end goal is to see their clients succeed and reach their goals on their own,
Yeah, like basically like graduate them in a way,
Yeah, absolutely.
Teach you enough that you can learn on your own, get some good form down, and, get to the point where at least you can get good workouts in on your own.
Right.
Like even as you and I, we're still always learning.
Absolutely.
We're always like, I'm asking other trainers like, oh, they're doing this new thing. Like, why do you do that? Like, so we're always learning, but there's a good point where hopefully we can graduate them to where they're doing it on their own. And then maybe doing like once a month meetings or, online training, or even sometimes you can just send them out on their own and they're happy with where they're at.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really rewarding experience, being able to like see somebody start with very little knowledge. You take them to a point where like, oh wow, they're really knowledgeable.
Yeah.
They knew what I knew when I first started,
Absolutely.
like training people. So like they're almost to the level of personal trainer now in a way.
Yeah.
They're like, now they're saying, oh yeah, this form and that form. And they come in, they're like, yeah, so I did this in my squat and this, and I knew I had to fix this. And like, yeah, you got this. Like you're pretty much ready to move on, unless you want to learn something different,
Definitely.
But yeah, it's really cool to see that.
It's like watching your kids grow up.
Yeah, we get to see. We have like
fulfilling experience.
Short experiences with like adult kids in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Our gym kids. Yeah. So yeah, that's a really cool story though. That you were in athletic environment growing up, and then through an injury you kind of had to reevaluate.
Exactly. Completely changed my life, but for the better.
Yeah. The time I'm sure you thought this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now it's probably like, well, it's probably almost a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm able to take my story, my background, and share that with others, and to help them hopefully avoid some of the same mishaps that I experienced. I kind of left a few parts out, but there was one point where I did decide hey, this is still the route I want to go. I want to play football in college, and hopefully afterwards in some way, shape, or form. And I met with another recruiter. And they really wanted me to come to their school and play, but the guy that was recruiting me, he was an ex-football player, NFL safety. His elbow was kind of sticking out of his arm. Oh, wow. He couldn't move like 2 of his knuckles. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there looking like, is it the cost benefit analysis worth damaging my body long term to go play maybe, and not even really pro at this point, So it was one of those things that really it was eye opening. What direction do I want to go from here? Yeah. And I realized that I had to kind of throw in the towel on football and kind of give it my all in the fitness lifestyle.
Yeah. That's a big thing. Like finding out like what something's really like. So
Absolutely.
we grew up like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be this, or I want to be that. And then as you get older, you start finding out, oh, well, this is what this is really about. Like you actually have to do all of this. The part I like is about 10%.
Yeah.
And I have to do 90% of stuff I don't like. Maybe I don't want to do this anymore,
Yeah.
Or like what you were experiencing with the injury. It's like, well, you're going to have to take that risk of, really damaging your body for the rest of your life.
Right.
And that's what your passion is though. It's like, you're like, no, I don't care. As long as I get to play, then that's important to you. Right. But that's each person's own individual decision.
Absolutely.
Right. Like what's your biggest value?
I agree.
And part of it is just like also your body and your genetics too. Like some people are just better suited to, like they can do a lot of things and like damage their body so much. They just recover and they're fine. They're,
So true.
They can just deal with it. And it's like, I can't, I'm, I'd rather be like safe and, live a long, simple life rather than like a crazy short one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to say that I don't like adventure, but I'm not going to jump off a cliff just because it sounds fun with a bungee. It's like
carpe diem.
Yeah. There's a middle ground, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Cool. So, what's your like training philosophy style?
As far as like the type of way that I train.
Yeah. Like what's your mindset around how to get people into those goals that they're at?
So I mean, as far as for myself, the style of training that I implement is typically more of a bodybuilding athletic style training method. I just seem to find that it works best for me, and it's the best way for me to hold myself accountable. I enjoy working separate muscle groups, and I enjoy being able to have a specific body part that I'm working every single day. But I understand that that's not very it's not necessary for a lot of people to train that way, and it's also not plausible. A lot of people have full-time jobs, they have kids, they have families, so it's not possible for them to get in the gym 5 or 6 days a week. As far as like my motivation and trying to get people to hold themselves accountable, I think there are kind of 3 facets to that. I think in training you got to think of like accountability, you got to think of balance, and you got to think of consistency, and all 3 of those together will kind of continue to reap the rewards when you come to the gym. So holding yourself accountable by getting a trainer, by having a training partner, by having a specific training split that you're using every single day. That way, if you miss, you can pick that up on the next day. Having balance in your life. I know so many people who get burnt out on it because they go 100% all the time. They're eating every single meal is super clean. They're going to the gym every single day at 6 a.m. They're going back to the gym every single day to do a second day of cardio, and they get burnt out because they're doing that over and over and over. So you got to have balance in your life to where it's a huge portion of your life, but it's not all that consuming. You live for. Exactly. And then consistency, we can preach that all day long, but if you're consistent, you're going to receive those compounding gains that you get from going to the gym over and over. So, after training for 8 years, 5 or 6 days a week for me, like I can afford to cheat on my diet because like I've built up to that point, when you're able to consume 3,700 calories, sometimes you're able to add that cheat meal in here and there and not really experience any negative side effects from it.
Right. Yeah. And it's about, I found it's a lot about homeostasis, right?
Absolutely.
When your body gets to the point, if you're at a certain weight or body fat percentage for a long period of time and you're able to sustain that, your body starts getting comfortable there, and you can cheat a little bit, and it doesn't go, oh my goodness, 10 pounds of fat right away,
Yeah, it doesn't affect you quite as much.
It's also, it's like, I have to be careful like when I'm talking to people, because, if they're starting at a high, weight, high body fat, and they come down, they have to stick with that diet still after they make that transition for a long time. 6 months or so is usually what I find. In order
to achieve that level of homeostasis.
Create that homeostasis where your body's used to that, and then you're not going to see these big weight gains back at the end of a program.
Absolutely.
So it's got to be a lifestyle.
Totally.
But you can also over time have a little bit of a cheat here and there. Yeah. I know, like for me, I went from 200 to 140 in about 6 months. Because I just had a wake up call.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Where I just stepped on the scale. Mine was I stepped on the scale and I was 200 pounds. And I was like 120, 130 my entire life.
Yeah.
Skinny kid. And like, what happened to me in college,
Put on a little bit more than the freshman 50.
Yeah, exactly. Because I went to film school, so we were sitting watching videos all day, and we were making movies. Just like there really wasn't a lot of physical activity when you're doing film, right? I did a lot of video editing, so I'm sitting at a desk editing all day.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of started eating like pizza and popcorn and chips and ice cream and just whatever.
Anything you get your hands on, absolutely.
High calorie foods, right?
Right.
Because I was like, I tend to get in the zone when I'm working.
High foods,
so I would do a lot of ordering food, like ordering out, because I would get zoned in on my work and I would forget to eat for like 6 hours, but then I would overeat.
Right.
And that was the problem, is I would starve and then overeat.
Absolutely.
So I got to that point. I was like, holy cow, I need to get myself back in shape. I did that. And I did that through like being cold turkey, like hardcore nutrition, like really hardcore paleo, like almost zero carbs, kind of keto in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just all leafy greens, vegetables and fruits are my only carbs really. Sometimes some rice here and there. But what I did is, because I went cold turkey, I always had that 1 or 2 times a month, sometimes 3 or 4 times a month, where I'd get a pizza and eat a whole pizza over the weekend.
Right, you binge.
And I was still able to make that transition though.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to tell people is like, you don't have to be super strict.
Right.
I don't recommend doing what I did.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying like that's an example of, even I cheated and had a couple bad days.
Yeah.
And I still was able to do that.
Absolutely.
It was the other 5 days of being consistent that made the difference.
Definitely.
So it's about balance,
Right.
and finding what works for you and your diet and your body.
Long term.
Yeah,
what's sustainable.
Yeah. Instead
Absolutely.
of, the latest fad diet, which is like, oh, we're going to do no fats and now no carbs. And then who knows, next will be probably no protein,
Yeah,
because protein makes you fat, which is false, but
It's funny that you say that, because I got quite a few questions about the keto and the intermittent fasting and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to hear your take on it as well.
Yeah. You want to get into that, since that's a good segue?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So Ryan Jeffrey, he's one of my buddies he actually is from my hometown, and
Okay.
We went to San Diego State together. He asked if keto versus intermittent fasting, which you recommend for cutting and why. So keto is definitely a very trendy diet right now. For cutting, there are a lot of different diets out there, and there are a lot of different ways to get results. Something that's going to be sustainable, I wouldn't recommend keto. I think anybody who trains would not really benefit from the keto diet, because cutting carbs completely out of your training regimen is going to hurt you long term. Basically, when you work out, you're depleting your glycogen storages, and the way to replenish those glycogen storages are to consume carbs. If you're not consuming any carbs at all, you're not going to continue to replenish those storages. Therefore, over time, you're going to kind of do harm to your body, because you're not continuing to replenish those glycogen storages. Short term, if you're looking to cut, carb cycling and keto would be one of the better ways to lose weight within a week, 10 days. I just had to cut for a photo shoot a couple weeks ago, and that was one of the kind of strategies that I implemented. So I think each of them have their place, but I think that for cutting, I guess in this instance, intermittent fasting is actually the other question. And I think that a lot of people would actually benefit more from intermittent fasting for a long-term cut trying to lose weight, because you're limiting that window that you're consuming food in. So overall, you're going to consume less calories.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that you can get a pretty good cut or body fat loss with pretty much any clean diet that's not with junk food. Right. I agree. Like the keto and the intermittent fasting are great ways to do short term, and keto even more so. Right. Because if you're going to do that short term, just be aware that you may gain that weight back right away, because a lot of that keto weight is also water too.
Correct.
So you're going to, as soon as you put carbs back in, you might gain some water weight. So don't get worried that all of a sudden you're back on the new diet and you think this diet is crap. It's not. It's just that was extreme. It worked for that time period, but let's not sustain that long term, because it's not healthy, like you were saying.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And you do need those carbs, and if you're doing like carb elimination even, which is even further extreme, then you're not getting any of your veggies and your fruits, because those are all carbs. It's like, so then how are you getting your nutrients and your your micronutrients and your
absolutely.
minerals and everything? It's like then you take supplements, multivitamins. That's expensive, and it's not really the best way to get it either.
Right.
Where's your fiber? All of that. So it's not long term like a lifestyle thing, but it's good for a short term if that works for you. And with intermittent fasting, I agree. Like, it's good for a lifestyle if you can sustain that kind of lifestyle.
Right.
Some people, for example, I'm hypoglycemic, which means I need to eat every few hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I just can't. I tried, but I had to I would always have a lunch. Like I could never do the full window.
Right.
I would just skip breakfast. That was the most I could do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I was like fainting at the middle of the day.
Totally.
Even when I was working a desk job.
Wow.
Like even sitting at a desk, I was fainting right in the middle of the day because I had to. Now my dad, on the other hand, he'll eat a banana for breakfast and won't eat anything till dinner.
Wow.
So he probably could do the intermittent fasting and be like totally fine.
Absolutely.
So it comes down to metabolism, what your body likes. Lifestyle. I do think that for a long-term lifestyle, cutting for somebody who likes to go out with their friends and drink at night and go to restaurants and be social, you don't want to give up your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting is a really great way because you're giving yourself that dinner time right, to go out with your friends, and you eat all your calories. Exactly. And you don't have to worry about, I'm, restricting, and I only have the small little plate, and everybody else is like, you're making fun of you. It's like, oh, what are you eating? Salad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can eat a little bit more. You can be a little bit looser with your diet. Right. Obviously you want to keep everything to moderation, but then that way you can have, a glass of wine or a beer or, couple, shots of alcohol, right? You can do that, and you can have that little wiggle room because it's only in a certain period.
Right.
And you're still restricting the calories. Because let's say you need 3,000 calories in a day. I doubt you're going to be able to eat 3,000 calories in 4 hours. That's going to be really hard on your system.
And if you do, it's not going to be very clean.
Yeah. So you eat clean within that 4-hour window.
Yeah.
You're almost guaranteed to eat within your calorie goals.
Right.
At least for guys that are working out. For people that are sitting at a desk all day, and for women, it's a little bit harder because of the lower calorie requirements.
Right.
But it's still doable. It's still, you just restrict that window a little bit more.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, you can only eat so much at one meal. If you make it one meal, or 1.5, you can only eat so much. And it's a really great way to get down there. And if you can do that the rest of your life, great. But that's my philosophy is, I don't care what diet it is, as long as you can do this until you're like 70 and 80 years old. Right. Right. That's what you got to be able to do the rest of your life. My wife's parents are doing something where they're eating salads like that, but that works for them. Like they decide, we're going to do this. We don't eat anything. They just always have a salad, and they put protein in it.
Absolutely.
And but that makes them happy because they have it's a big salad too. Yeah. And that's just what they eat during the day. Like that's their food, and they just know. That's amazing. And it's easy to take with you too. Yeah. You just put it in the igloo. And you just know these are my meals for the day. You don't have to worry about anything. Right. Right. Not the best for muscle building. Right. But for sustainable, keeping your weight, keeping consistent, it's great. Right. So it works for you. Totally. Yeah.
I think that's a good segue into, one thing I like to tell all my clients is, not everybody's going to love the gym. And you don't have to love the gym in order to live an active lifestyle. Uh-huh. So I think, the best fitness goals are the ones that are going to be long-term and sustainable. Mm-hmm. So if you love to box, but you don't love to lift weights, start boxing more often. Yeah. If you love to ride bikes, but you don't love to run, don't put running into your training program. Yeah. Put bike riding, put cycling, join some cycling classes. The ones that are going to work out the longest are the ones that you enjoy doing. So if you absolutely love it, you're going to continue to do that. Yeah. So just continue to make those active lifestyle choices and kind of modify them to what you enjoy doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a balance, and even with boxing though, you do need to have some weight training in there, but that way you have that balance of that. You have the boxing and the cardio, and you have that part that you like, and then you're actually more motivated to go train with weights because now you're going to be more powerful when you're hitting the bag, or you're more absolutely. Able to do the techniques without having to worry about strength and balance and things like that. Totally. So there's always that, finding the thing that you really like that's active, finding an active thing that you like to do. Absolutely. And then training around that.
Yeah. It's funny because I wish, now that I see how much the gym has affected my life and has affected how it affects and impacts your performance. I wish that I had taken it more seriously in high school because I feel like it could have helped me avoid some injuries. Of those injuries. Yeah, it could have helped increase my performance and speed and everything. So if there's any advice that I have, I go back to when I was that 14-year-old kid that was like, I just want to play. Yeah, and I would tell him make sure you take the gym seriously and you execute proper form, and it'll translate so much more to the on the field success. Yeah. So the next question actually is from Mrs. Natural Lifter over there. So what's so great about the keto diet? Is it a trend or a lifestyle? I think we kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. That it is more of a trend right now, and it's not necessarily a sustainable lifestyle. I think in the long term it could potentially be harmful to your health, but depending on how you do it. You talk to so many people who are like, oh yeah, I had bacon and eggs for breakfast and that was it. And it's like, if you do that over time, you're going to clog your arteries. You're going to increase your cholesterol. It's not a sustainable lifestyle because they think, oh, as long as I'm eating fats and proteins, I'll be fine. Yeah. And that's not how it works. Yeah, like you said earlier, you're missing out on all those micronutrients that you need. Yeah. All those healthy carbs that you get in the form of veggies and vitamins and stuff. So So I got a couple of funny questions. Okay. Cade told me, how come your training partner is so much bigger than you? Yeah, I think that one's subjective. But to his point, I like the question. I've always tried to train with people who are bigger than me, who are stronger than me, because it pushes me.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, like my brother and my cousin, they've pushed me to be better my entire life. When I first started training, they were way stronger than me, way bigger than me. And I saw that and I was like, I want to be big. I want to be strong, So that would definitely push me to get that extra rep,
Yep.
And so I think always having that person who's there to help push you to be stronger and to be a better version of yourself is always super important. And I think Cade has been that to me. He's a little bit bigger, he's a little bit stronger, and it just helps me get that last extra rep. And vice versa. He sees me like trying harder. He's like, oh, I he's trying to be stronger than me. Like I gotta up my game.
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate to train with some really strong people, but some people who have also known a lot about the fitness lifestyle and been able to show me the ropes on how to perform exercises properly. So I think that's really beneficial to anybody to keep that in mind. Next question is, do you adjust your carb intake on days you train versus days off? This is from Ryan Fisher. This is a good question.
Yeah.
Me specifically, I wouldn't say that I necessarily adjust my carb intake. But it depends on what I'm training for. If I'm training for a shoot, if I'm training for anything like that, I will adjust. I will do some form of carb cycling in order to look a little bit more shredded for the shoot day. But as far as like on an everyday basis, I typically will consume almost the exact same meals every single day. I'm very consistent with my eating, and I think that's one of the things that I have the hardest time relating with other people, because I can wake up and eat oatmeal every single day and be fine. Yeah. But a lot of people want to have variety. They want to have different things in their life, but that's good. That you got to switch it up. So as long as you know what works best for you, like we were talking about, tailored to you, that's a good thing. So as far as for the typical person or for a client, if you want to adjust your carb intake on days off versus days training, I think that carb cycling is one of the better ways to lose weight more efficiently. And obviously, if you're consuming less carbs on your days off, on training days, you're going to be burning those carbs more. So yes, carb cycling is an effective way to lose weight. And it's a very scientific method as far as how deep we'd want to go into this question. But I think that if you were to do like I wouldn't even say like 2 to 1, but if your normal diet consists of consuming 150 grams of carbs on training days, you can up that to like 225. Because you're going to be burning those extra carbs and utilizing those to push more weight around in the gym.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'd be curious to hear your take on that one.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I think you and I are alike in this manner, where I was talking with Kenzie yesterday, and like Grace and like a lot of people I talk to like food. I'm like you. I don't care about variety. Like I told you, like for 6 months, all I did was eat. I'll tell you, I did egg whites. I would just drink them straight from like the pasteurized bottle. I just drink straight egg whites in the morning. Maybe some oatmeal if I was having carbs. Egg whites, chicken breast. Just raw chicken breast with, no seasoning or anything. I just put sriracha sauce on it. Not raw, but plain.
I hope you're eating raw.
Cooked.
I'm sensing a trend here. Raw egg whites, raw chicken breast.
Raw fish.
Eat your food raw.
That's a good one. But no, like egg whites, chicken breast, with just sriracha sauce, and then broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and tuna or tilapia in the evening. Okay. Like that was it for 6 months. That's all I ate every single day. And then obviously I had the pizza every once in a while. Right. Because I couldn't sustain that for like 4 months on end.
Absolutely.
But like that was my thing. And the pizza thing was actually more just because I was too much of a deficit. Because at the time I didn't really know much about fitness. Right. And I was, I think, like a 500, sometimes even 1,000 calorie deficit, which then over time, over 5 days, you're like, okay, that your body just like, I need something. Because I don't really care what food tastes like, really. Like I've always told Grace, like if I could drink every meal, I would. Yeah. If there's a magic pill that had all my fiber, everything I needed, I would just take that and be fine. Right. But
same time, energy.
You need your energy. Yeah. All day long, especially for me. So it's like I have to eat every few hours, and it's so weird. It's like I don't like food, but I have to eat food. Right. On that schedule, it's like I just don't do it like I should. Yeah. Just because I don't have that desire. So. Absolutely. But yeah, so it's like I agree. Like it's so weird. Like I can't really relate to clients in that way a lot. Yeah. Because I just don't care about the food. So if you care about the food, then just let's maybe back it off a little bit, and we'll not do what I did. You know?
Absolutely.
Because I went really hardcore, but I also had a really big motivation, and I had a lot of personality types that allowed me to do that. Yeah, absolutely. But as far as like on a general basis, what I'm doing now I'm living a little bit healthier lifestyle and not going hard too far, and trying to live healthier, keep it simpler. what I tend to do is I don't really carb cycle on my training days versus non-training days so much, because I'm already in a kind of a low carb environment anyway.
Right.
Not so much keto, but I just am not a huge fan of carbs. I think a cup of rice a day is like the max I could do. And everything else like proteins and, leafy greens and fruits and veggies, which I like. And oatmeal and 1 cup of rice. And that's about all I can handle with carbs.
Yeah.
Personality type wise, or my body's genetics.
Yeah.
But what I do try and do is I try and get oatmeal in the morning, so I wake up with energy. Because I usually work out in the morning if I can. So I wake up, have the oatmeal and blueberries.
That kind of fuels your workout.
Gets me fuel, because if I go into a workout empty, I just don't have enough energy to push the weight that I want.
Absolutely.
And so you can still get a workout in fasted, but it's not as effective, I find, as if you are, fed. So I do the oatmeal, and then I try and get the rice right afterwards. So I keep my carbs around my workouts. It's generally what I do to make the most effective use of getting them back into my body.
Absolutely.
Like we were talking about the glycogen stores.
Yeah, I think it's a good segue into another question that I had was, what is my post-training regimen? Like, what do I do post-training as far as supplements or meals go?
Oh, yeah.
And I think, it's funny because you get all these questions a lot. What supplements do you use? And it's like, first off, like, before I recommend like supplements to people, I want to make sure that you're actually doing a proper training regimen and that you're dedicated to that, because it's like, you can recommend all the supplements in the world, but if you're not actually working out, they're not going to be very effective. Yeah. You're just going to be consuming extra calories.
It's a supplement.
Exactly. So
it's in the name, people.
The first thing I want to say is, if you're actually utilizing a weight training program and you're consistent, you're doing it for a few months, then you find that you want to supplement because your body's sore or because you feel like you're having some lapses in your diet or this, that, and the other, then I would recommend, some sort of supplementation. And I think that's one of the places that I've actually gotten so much more knowledgeable in is supplementation. And, you go to the bodybuilding stores and they try to sell you everything, it's like, oh, you need this mass gainer and you need this pre-workout, you need these BCAAs and you need this, that, and the other. And it's like, none of those are really going to actually help you get to your goals. The actually being in the gym is what's going to help you get to your goals. But with that being said, I do take a pre-workout. I think that's effective in getting your body going. Obviously, the biggest thing is the caffeine. Like I've taken pre-workout, gotten rid of pre-workout and done and coffee, and it's almost the same effects. Maybe not the same pump or vascularity, but the definitely energy and focus is there from the coffee. As for I'm very similar to you. I consume a lot of carbs pre and post workout. So post workout, I always recommend trying to get about 30 to 45 grams of carbs in, as well as about 30 to 45 grams of protein. And so always recommend whole food. But if you can't do the whole food, then that's where you'd want to do the supplementation. So they always talk about the protein window post workout, like when's the best time to consume food. And I think the best answer is like whenever you can. Yeah. But ideally, you want to be able to do that within from 30 minutes to 2-3 hours. Yeah. And so if you can't get a whole food meal in, if you're busy, if you're at work, this, that, the other, then I would recommend doing some sort of whey protein, a protein isolate. That way it gets into your body fast in conjunction with, like I use the Ignition from First Form. So that's it's simple carbs. And it gives me about 45 grams of carbs. I mix the two together and that's it. But I'd say that I only do that like twice a week because I always try to get a whole food meal in. As opposed to supplementing all the time.
Every single time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. My thing on supplements is I think that supplements, like you were saying, they're a supplement and they kind of give you that extra little boost. Right. But the only supplement that I recommend to clients really is protein powder. Because it's like, and only for the convenience. Right. Right. You can't bring, if you're working at a job where you can't refrigerate your chicken breast, then bring the protein powder. Because at least that's portable. You just take it in a bag in your car. Like it's so much more portable than actual real protein. Right. Or not real, but actual food protein. Right. But obviously the ideal is to have the meal when you can. Right. But I do recommend, like, if you are struggling to get enough protein in your diet, because you can't just take it everywhere with you, especially middle of the day, pre or post workout when you're in the gym and you're like, there's no place to store it. I want to bring it with me, but I'm stuck. Do the protein powder. That's really the only thing I recommend to my athletes, other than I've just started my first athlete on some supplements. Just started him. He's been 7 months. I just started him doing that, and none of my other athletes do that. Right. Because most people aren't at the level where they need that supplementation. Right. Because I'm usually working with people that aren't that are looking to make a change, kind of like I did after college, trying to get that competitive edge. but they're not like trying to get super lean or like super muscular, like really fast. And if you're not training 5 to 6 days a week, I really don't find that supplements help at all unless you're already doing that volume of training and your diet's really on point. But because he was training a lot, recovery was a little slow and he was not feeling energetic enough. We added some BCAAs to make sure that he was getting that right after the workout, some post-workout. And then because he wanted to get stronger, I added some creatine before and after, because that has studies that prove that, it boosts your strength up to 20% in trained athletes. Absolutely. So I did that later now that he's gotten to a point where he's kind of maxed out his lifts,
level,
and it's like, okay, this is what we can do to make the most out of your lifts. Also because he has a stressful job. So he's coming in the afternoon and the evening fatigued, you need to get that little extra boost.
Right.
At the beginning, it was fine, right? Because he's just trying to make that initial jump, but now we're adding a little bit more to that.
Absolutely.
So that's my philosophy. If you need it and there's actually a really legit reason to do it, right? Yeah. You're like, you can't do it naturally on your own with just regular food, then you can take a couple supplements that are healthy and I've proven with studies, and research that it works.
Right.
And again, with the pre-workout, anybody can take a pre-workout if they want, but coffee is just as good.
Right.
Unless you want like the really vascular pump. But again, unless you're super lean, you're not going to see the benefit from it. You're just going to get all the tingling in your fingers and everything, and just be like, and you get nothing out of it other than just drink, do an Americano before you come in or something like that.
Yeah. Get those jitters.
Yeah. So that's kind of my philosophy on the supplements.
Cool.
I think but
that's another perfect segue into another question that I received was how much protein should I consume? And it's one of those things is a lot of these questions have such like different parameters, you know. From a personal perspective, like I typically would recommend like 0.75 grams to 1.25 grams per pound of body weight. So for a 200 pound guy, you'd want to be between like 180 and 220, 180 grams to 220 grams per day of protein consumed. And that's why having a protein powder on hand is super beneficial, because it's not always easy to get that amount of protein in your daily meals. For me, I strive to make it easy, and I'm like, okay, I need to hit 45 grams of protein per meal in order to hit my goal for the day. And so that's I break it down into those 4 or 5 meals that I'm going to have throughout the day, and that's how I hit that target. Yeah. But for the average person, it's not always easy. Who doesn't get to eat 5 times a day, or who doesn't. Or who's not consuming that amount of calories, in order to achieve that level of protein, you'll have to use some protein shakes and again.
Yeah, that's kind of the standard rule of thumb is like 0.75 to 1.25. Sometimes if you're like really really aggressive, you can like maybe 1.5. Yeah. But
for average people, or, people who are trying to really push the.
And again, you're training every day and sometimes 2 days. That's when you're getting really intense. So you can get there, but I think most of our athletes and clients aren't really at that level yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So but that's kind of my philosophy as well. I personally, for me personally, it depends on each person, but me personally, I do about a gram. That's where I found my sweet pound. Yeah. My sweet spot is a gram per pound of body weight. It seems to work well for me. I can get that in easily.
And it's easy to remember.
It's easy to remember too. It's just like, wait, okay. So just like, oh, my body weight. Okay, that's it. Easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
No calculations.
And same thing. I mean, I tried to build to gain weight for a long time, and I think that say you're 180 pounds and you want to get to 200. Then you can increase the protein to 1.5, because that's when basically what you want to do is you want to eat like you are already 200 pounds. Yeah. Especially for the hard gainers out there, the people that have a really difficult time putting muscle on. And
I think that's probably why that's kind of a segue. Like, I tend to be on the hard gainer side. Yeah. Because I was always just a skinny kid. Right. Like I was 120 pounds when I was 18. I'm like. And I was 5. I was like 5'11" when I was like 16. So I had grown all the way, but I was still just like a stick. And I have really small forearms, so it's just like muscular, bone wise, right? It's gonna be hard for me to put on extra size. Yeah. But that's why I feel like I tend to do higher protein and less carbs, just because of my body type. That works better for me to gain muscle and maintain that lean state. Especially when I'm eating every few hours, I can do that. Because I'm just eating, 6 meals a day. It's easier to get those extra protein in, when you're eating it 6 times a day. So trying to eat it, all my lunch is it's like 2 breasts of chicken. That's a lot to eat in one sitting. I've done that before and just never again. I'm just going to split it out all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
4 ounces at a time is about good for most people.
Like you're saying, you can't really sustain that either.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, find that sustainability.
Definitely. But how do you help a prospective client overcome their fear of coming into the gym? That's also a really good question. Yeah. And I think that's that depends on the person. And I think your ability to empathize with people who are in that situation is going to be huge in a situation like that. I actually spoke to another trainer who was very beneficial. Liz, she was really helpful in trying to. She was a trainer. Trained me on
train other trainers
on how to be a good trainer and kind of show me the ropes, which is great. But one of the things that she implemented a lot would be, if people didn't have time or they were kind of afraid to make that first step to get into the gym, she would go on video and she would send them a selfie of herself, and she'd literally go around and give them a tour of the entire gym and kind of show them, that there's not much to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Especially at a private gym like this, we're very fortunate to, not have to deal with the masses of a commercial gym. And I think just making those small but simple and effective like gestures to clients who may have that fear of taking that first step.
Yeah.
I think meeting them halfway goes a long way in getting them to overcome that fear and coming into the gym.
Yeah.
So
that's why I love being here, is because it's a very, no judgment atmosphere.
Correct.
Everybody's very welcoming, very friendly, and there's not a lot of, competition, negativity. It's all very positive.
Absolutely.
You don't really get that a lot of places,
right.
So
yeah,
that's
everybody's
why this
very supportive of one another, which is nice. Yeah.
And even, other trainers or other clients will come up to, someone new and they'll say, oh, hey, so nice to see you. It's an awesome, you'll be really outgoing and friendly. Whereas other gyms, you tend not to get that as much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it makes it easier to come in here, especially because it's a small gym. We're all a nice, small little family.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. And if someone's new, we're like, oh, new person. Hey, how's it going? Who are you? What's up with what you're doing? So
totally.
It makes it a more friendly environment. And I think the fear that I've noticed is misconceptions. Right. And justified misconceptions, because there's a reason why somebody feels this way. And it's probably because they experienced somebody in their life that acted this a certain way. Like if the big one is that the gym is full of people that are jerks and they're just gonna judge you, and it's like, well, you're not doing this right, so you're not gonna make any gains,
right?
Because there's a lot of people that the vocal ones come out and make really big gestures like that, and then create this for the people they interact with. They create this almost a little bit of a fear. It's like, well, I don't want to go in. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
When I first went to the gym, I was kind of scared. I'm like, I don't want to look like an idiot. I just stuck on the treadmill. I was like, because I'd never been really in a gym. I grew up on a farm. So I just was always out and about doing, calisthenics type stuff, but I never really in a gym using actual gym equipment.
Right.
And so, because my mom had a home gym kind of thing, like a Bowflex, but the knockoff Soloflex brand or whatever.
The one that got thrown in the garage.
Yeah.
Got dust on it.
And then I was like, oh, here's this. What's this? And you start using it when I was a teenager, but going into an actual big 24-hour fitness gym, I was like, oh my goodness, what's all this equipment?
Pretty intimidating.
And then I see people doing stuff. I'm like, and you see all the gym fail videos too, and you don't want to be that person.
Right, absolutely.
So
don't want to go viral on the internet.
So it was really scary for me coming in. So I understand, I don't even know what I'm doing, and I didn't really have anybody to show me the ropes. So it took me a long time to get comfortable.
Right.
Because again, you see these gym fail videos, and you get this impression from other people that do go to the gym. Oh, you have to be this or this
that
or
you're
this.
Gonna be mocked or made fun of.
Yeah.
Especially being a beginner. Yeah.
So I try and, create that atmosphere with people that I'm meeting. Like, hey, I get you. I know where you're at. I've been there. Trust me, this is a safe place. You're not going to have people walking up to you and judging you and going, oh, well, you're not doing that right.
Right.
Yeah. And also because you have a trainer. That's a big thing about having a trainer is if you can afford to have a trainer when you first sign up for a gym, that's really important.
Yeah.
Because then you'll learn how to do exercises properly and get the most out of it.
Absolutely.
And if you're working with someone like us, you get to then, maybe your goals aren't to get to a certain super high level. So maybe you only need 3 months,
right?
Just to get comfortable in a gym, how to make the most out of your workouts. And then from there, you're just going to continue to maintain where you're at.
Absolutely.
But at least give it a shot, because if you have a trainer, they can help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls, a lot of injuries. That was another thing I was worried about is injury.
Yeah.
Because when you see people doing deadlifts or squats, you're like, what if the weight falls off? What if I can't handle it? Is it going to squash me?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of fear with weights because they're heavy.
Right.
And you be really careful. But if you do it safely, you're fine.
Yeah.
But you need to know how. And online videos are really good because that gives you some perspective, but you also need someone in person to show you. You can't always look in a mirror, and if you can,
absolutely,
you may not know compared to the video what you're doing right and wrong.
Absolutely.
So that's really good. to have someone to like point out the problems, see where you're at, and then give you little tweaks because of anatomy too.
Right.
Some people have different, joint length, right? Between the distance between the bones between the two joints, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like some people have shorter torsos, longer torsos. And so what you see in a video with someone doing a deadlift, this is the big one. You see someone doing a deadlift in a video and they're like, they don't have to bend over hardly at all.
Right.
Well, that's because they have long arms. So they don't have to.
Yeah.
Like for me, I have short arms. So I have to go almost 90.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I thought, I'm doing it. I never did deadlifts. So I thought I was doing it wrong.
Right.
Like, why can't I do it right? And then I found a video where someone said, oh no, you don't have to do that. That's just for people that have long arms.
Yeah.
If you're shorter arms, you got to compensate.
Yeah.
But then you have to worry about your low back and make sure you're not overdoing with your low back. So be really careful about that. And I went, oh, okay. And then when I did my certification, I learned that, I reinforced that for me. I was like, okay, this is the safe way to do it.
Makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really important to have that, ability to compensate, to modify it for each individual person.
Right.
So that you can progress it or regress it to the point where you can start and then get there.
Absolutely.
Like for pull-ups. Not everybody can start with a pull-up.
Yeah.
It's like, well, can you never do pull-ups? No, you just start with lat pull-downs.
Right.
Right. And rows and do something with lighter weight.
Way up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or assisted pull-ups, banded pull-ups, things like that.
Absolutely.
But if you never, don't have somebody to tell you that, then you're like, well, how do I do that? I don't know I don't know how to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I like it. Yeah, it's funny when you were talking about the weights and
safety,
safety and weights, and that weight's gonna kill me or I saw a meme the other day. It was like bodybuilding is just about that weight didn't kill me or hurt me, so let's put on more. And it's kind of true in a sense. You definitely try to push the envelope when you're competing in that ring. So it's cool to see it progress from that very basic level to where you're worried about the weights hurting you to almost to the point to where you like want the weights to hurt you.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a funny contrast there.
Yeah.
From that beginner level to that advanced level.
And I think it all comes from knowledge.
Absolutely.
Learning and becoming familiar and accustomed to something, like this is a good example, driving a car. When you first get in a car, when you're 16, you're getting your license, you're like, I'm going to kill somebody. I'm going to kill somebody. Yeah. I don't know. And then now we drive, and most people are like texting.
It's second nature. Yeah.
We don't even care anymore. It's like, that's dangerous. You can go too far.
Shouldn't be done, but it's definitely,
because you get comfortable with something so much. So it's good to have that reminder every once in a while of like, don't text when you drive, pay attention. You could kill somebody. Remember that.
Absolutely.
Remember when you were 16, you were worried about killing somebody? Well, just keep that in the back of your mind now that you're 32.
PSA, don't text and drive.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a lot about the knowledge.
Absolutely. I like it. So let's see. What do we got next? Jessica asked, what are the best exercises to tone your stomach and back without being at a gym? That's a really good question.
Yeah. So
what's awesome about a lot of core exercises, because when you talk stomach and back, you're talking core, is as many of them can be performed anywhere. You know, when you're talking about your standard exercises, a lot of them can be performed anywhere.
Yeah.
I think as far as this question goes, we just talked about the level, whether you progress something or you regress it, you from basic to advanced or basic, intermediate, advanced. You think about the best exercises are obviously going to be the more advanced ones.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people aren't going to be able to perform those right off the bat. So like if I were to do one exercise for my core, it would be leg lifts and V-ups. Like I love leg lifts and I love V-ups, and those are the two that I think really engage the core the most, and also the back stability. But if you're talking about wanting to do something at home and something that everybody can do, you got to go plank, because plank's going to really build your core. It's going to build your back. That's that stability. And there's so many variations of the plank that you can utilize from basic to beginner, from basic to advanced. And then I think, obviously you can still continue to do leg lifts. I love crunch variations. So a lot of the typical things that you think of when you think of core.
There's a lot of them you can do now with machines.
A
lot of core
so
isn't really machines.
You can do them at home or in the gym. There's another exercise that I love that it's literally just performing 25 crunches, elbows into the ground, and then just holding it. And when you're actually engaging that mind muscle connection, you're squeezing your core muscles, your ab, you're really going to feel it that much more. So do you have any exercises to add on to that?
For me, I think it doesn't really matter as much what exercise you do. I think crunches are a good one. You want to be using proper form. It's not so much about the cranking of the neck, but it's just getting get the shoulder blades off the ground.
Yeah.
But whatever core exercise it is, if you focus on contracting your abs before you do the exercise, so you lay there, you relax the abs, then you contract them and think about pulling your belly button into your spine. So you're tightening the transverse abdominis, which is your own little internal weight belt. You start with that. I guarantee you're going to like cut your reps in like a quarter because you really weren't activating them properly the first time. And you'll feel the burn almost immediately.
Absolutely.
And so that's really the key, is doing them properly. And you actually don't have to do that many reps. You don't need to do 100 crunches. Like, you don't need to. If you are, unless you're, in the Marines, you're probably doing it wrong. So do it properly, and have that contraction. I always tell everybody, no matter what exercise you're doing, pull your belly button into your spine, because we let that sag all day, right? Because we're sitting, it sags. Keep it tight, keep it pulled in. Think about it as like a weight belt that you're squeezing around your insides. So you're keeping it tight and stabilized. When you do that and you do an exercise, whether it's a crunch or like scissor kicks or bicycles or anything like that, you keep that tight. Guarantee you're going to be able to do a lot less than you thought. But that's good.
And it's going to be much more effective.
Be more effective and be shorter, and get more done in a shorter period of time.
Absolutely.
So that's my big one. And then as far as like back goes, that's partially incorporated in the low back. Upper back is a little bit more difficult to do. You can always do inverted rows, where you have like a broom or something and put it between two chairs. You can do inverted rows underneath it.
It's innovative. I like that.
Yeah. I learned this because I had to.
You had to do it.
I learned a lot of these the hard way, because I was like, I don't know, how can I do back? I don't have time to get to the gym, or I don't have a gym, and I can't do pull-ups, at the time. So I was like, well, I could do one, but I'm like, how much work am I getting out of one pull-up every 30 seconds? Like,
absolutely.
So you want to be able to get a little bit higher volume in.
Definitely much more difficult to hit those
upper back
muscles.
Get the pulling motion.
Weights or the gym.
Yeah, and the philosophy around the premise for weight build or using weights is, in order to build a muscle, you have to add resistance, and the typical way to do that is gravity. Well, if you're doing a pulling movement, it's very hard to pull against gravity. Like, you have to have something that you can pull against.
Absolutely.
You need a weight, because you really, you can push against gravity, like with a push-up. But like with a pull, it's really hard to do that unless you have something you can pull from. But like inverted rows, kind of like a TRX, where you just put a broom across two chairs, you just lay down, and then you can adjust it by how much your feet are stuck out. And just the weight, and you can easily do that. You can do underhand, overhand. Doing like home, the home gym, like it's $20. Go to Target, get a $20, like the little pull bar. And you can use that for dips too on the ground.
But like you're saying, a lot of people can't do pull-ups. So
that and then you just get a band for that.
Exactly.
Get a lot of them now are coming with the assisted band. But to do that, that's one way to start working up to it, because you get good form too. Right. And I always recommend people, lat pull downs are great, but you don't have to engage your core or your legs at all when you do that. So you want to actually train some pull-ups, even if you only can do a couple. Train keeping the core tight and your legs pointed and stiff, so you're eliminating all the energy leaks.
Absolutely.
And you're just focusing on just back. So assisted pull-ups are good for that, because at least you can keep it tight. So
I think kind of to tie a nice little bow on that, especially doing at-home exercises, the most important thing is going to be consistent. If you're doing it once a week, it's not going to be as beneficial as if you're doing it 3 to 4 times a week. And for a more tangible answer, I would say, pick 3 to 4 exercises and perform them in a circuit style. Do bicycle kicks, and then do like heel touches, and then do like leg lifts, and then do a plank, and perform that 3 to 4 times. It'll take about 10-15 minutes, and you'll get a pretty good effective core workout, and especially if you utilize some of David's advice about keeping that core tight. So
and you also get, if you do it in that circuit style fashion, you do it with low rest periods, you're going to get a little bit of cardio in there as well, a little bit of fat burning. So that's also a benefit, and it's shorter. I like doing short workouts and highly intense workouts, because you get all the benefits. Like, you're not really losing anything. You're saving time, you're burning more calories, and although you don't burn that many calories when you're exercising, it's just still more. More is always better, right?
Absolutely.
And then you're also getting that intense, work in. So you're getting all the benefits. But again, I just want to point out, when people say tone, I think a lot of times they're thinking about losing that extra fat on the outside. They want to see the definition. Well, you can build the biggest muscles, like you can be a powerlifter, right?
The body fat.
Powerlifters aren't defined. They're super strong, but they're not defined, because they're, they aren't, dieting, or nutrition. I don't like diets, So proper nutrition, just eating healthy, and then working out with circuits, minimum 3 times a week, to see results. then you'll start seeing that, over time. But it takes time and patience to get there.
I agree.
So,
all right.
Do you have anything else?
What are some good healthy fats that would struggle to reach my fat level? And I think that one's important because, like we were talking about earlier with the keto diet, a lot of people think, I'm getting bacon. I got
That's
fat.
Good fat, right?
Yeah. It's got a lot of fat. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I actually saw a really good post breaking down
the different types of fats.
The different types of fats.
Yeah. So we can post that on.
You can definitely get more, and you can go super into depth with that question. But I think when you think of your healthy fats, obviously you want to think of like your omega-3s, your fish oils. So you're going to get really good healthy fats from seafood.
Yes.
And then you're going to get good healthy fats from avocado, almonds, nuts. Nuts are really good source of healthy fats. So you think like almond butter, peanut butter, stuff like that. A lot of people, have an issue with dairy, but I always seem to find it's a pretty good way to get some healthy fats from like cottage cheese.
Yeah.
You can do like cheddar cheese, low fat mozzarella cheese, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dairy, like milk, if that's your thing.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Like I do grass fed butter when I do my cooking, olive oil.
Yeah.
So I think making those big transitions to using those healthier fats, especially like in your cooking methods, is a huge one.
Yeah.
So, but like predominantly my diet consists of mostly the first few that I touched on, the omega-3s and the seafood fats. You're going to do your avocado, your almond butter. Like I have a scoop of almond butter in my oatmeal every single morning.
There you go.
It makes life easy.
Yeah.
Cooking with grass-fed butter and then also using olive oil instead of any of the other oils that you can use to cook with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Like adding the fat helps you not crave the carbohydrates or the sugars as much.
Right.
Because it's they kind of serve the same purpose as far as flavor goes.
Yeah.
You add some fat, you can add some sugar. Add both, and it's like really amazing. But you can pick one, and then it still tastes really good.
Choose,
You're not going to feel like, I got to put honey in my oatmeal. I'll just put the butter. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I just, again, I don't really care what it tastes like, so I just have been eating it plain. That's a really good. I'll have to add that to my oatmeal now.
Yeah. So I go from a more macros perspective. So my oatmeal has like a cup of Greek yogurt in it, and
there you go.
Like a tablespoon of almond butter.
There you go.
I get higher protein. Carbs and fats. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's what I strive to do with all of my meals.
Yeah. It's a good way to go about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you have another one or?
Yeah. So the last question over here is as a male trainer, how do you differentiate yourself from other male trainers? That's a really great question, and it's one of those things that I think I consider myself a very adaptive person. So I feel like, especially as a relatively new trainer taking on new clients, I feel like right now I'm able to tailor my training to almost anybody. Because overall, anybody has that goal to a lot of people have the similar goals to lose body fat and to build lean muscle.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've learned and gained an expertise in over the last 9 years of training, is that very fact. But I think, trying to differentiate yourself is I feel like, my background and having a bachelor's in communication, a master's in business, having that school background, that educational background really helps me relate to a lot of different people from different backgrounds, and being able to be adaptable and empathize with clients from a communication standpoint, I think is really pivotal. Being able to understand, like you were talking about, being able to understand their needs and understand them when they come in, what they're looking for, and to be able to reaffirm them and reassure them that you're going to be the best person to help them accomplish their goals is super pivotal. So I think it's not even necessarily something that differentiates me as a person, but I think it's all of us have this innate desire as trainers to help others.
Yeah.
And if you can clearly show that to people and you're genuine about it, then I think people will see that, and I think they'll want to work with you. So I think that's kind of what helps differentiate me is I just have a true care to help people with their goals, and I think my background has set me up to be successful at that.
Yeah. I agree. The same thing for me. It's like, it's who I am.
Right.
Being me is actually going to differentiate me from everybody else that's not me.
Yeah.
Because I'm my own little person. I have my own little ways of doing things.
You're unique. Yeah.
We share a lot of commonalities. I share a lot of commonalities with other trainers.
Right.
But no one's had the same, all that same attributes that I do.
Same background.
Right.
Or the same.
Same story, same history, the same personality. Like we all have a little bit different. And some people respond better to different personalities than others.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I'll be one of the first people to, if someone comes in, actually happened the other day, someone came in and we just weren't clicking. And I was like, you know what? You know, you're saying some things and I'm like, I get it. I could probably help you with that, but I'm probably not the best person to help you with that just because that's not who I am.
Right.
You know, I could. And if you really wanted me to, I will. But I think that there's this other trainer, you know, who'd be better for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just gave that person the card and was like, hey, call this other trainer, you know, they'll be better for you because, I could probably help
karma
them.
too, you know?
You know? Yeah. I could probably help them, but I think that it's always better to work with somebody that you connect with on a deeper level than just same goals, but like you connect with, you can communicate with, you can trust.
Right.
Developing that trust and having a similar background or understanding where someone else is coming from really helps with that.
Absolutely. I agree.
Awesome.
Love it.
All right, guys, we're going to call it here because it's been over an hour. This happens every single time that we're at an hour and we're like, but I want to do more questions.
Glad to see I'm continuing the trend.
Yeah. So we'll have to bring some people back, you know, and once we get through the rest of my booked trainers, we'll come back through and we'll do some more.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I'm sure we could talk for, you know, quite a bit of time on all these different topics. So
totally.
And maybe in the future we can get more in depth on certain things. You know, maybe plan ahead. If there's a lot of nutrition questions, you guys let us know. Like next time Austin's on, let's talk deep nutrition.
Yeah.
We'll do it, you know, so that we can plan ahead. But yeah, so for all of you that are on my channel, go follow Austin. Great guy. Check him out. Check out what he's doing. He's been doing some fun stuff with First Form with the funny videos you've been making. It is cool. So check him out. And thanks for tuning in, guys. And catch you guys later. All right.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.